welcome to Don't Get Your Feathers in a Twist. My name's Jane and I'm a holistic practitioner, and this is my podcast. It's not polished, but it's real. So today I'm going to talk to you about transformational coaching, transformational life coaching, whichever you want to call it really. But this is all about getting to you, getting to who are you about, getting you to unpack anything that's been holding you back and getting you to the best version of you. So it's not about setting homework. It's not about setting goals. It's literally taking you through a series of sessions where basically I facilitate the sessions, asking you the questions because you do have all the answers. So it's not about trying to catch you out. It's not about trying to trip you up. It's not about anything other than trying to understand what's keeping you back, what's blocking you, what's stopping you from going for that job, or why do you believe that you're not good enough for that person, or why do you believe you're not good enough for that job, or what really is holding you back. It's really interesting when you start to go through these sessions with people because things just begin to come out. Like maybe in the first session it's maybe a little bit tricky because I'm asking you questions and I'm waiting for you to respond, and there's no right or wrong answers. I'm not going to sit here and say no, that's wrong, or no, I don't believe that. I'm not here to judge. I'm literally working with you through a set program, and each week we will gradually unpack the answers. So how we would start with this is, again, we'd have a complimentary initial upfront meeting, just have a general chat through, and I can explain more about what's going to happen with the program. It runs over 12 weeks, and the first meeting is all about sort of the introduction and getting to know you and asking you some general questions and going through any statements you may want to make or anything that you have going on. And then in between, we've got sessions 1 to 10, and normally allow about an hour or so for those sessions. Each week, we'll go through a couple of questions, not many. And you may find that I'll ask you a question, and they're all very basic questions, if that's the right phrase to use, but they're all general questions. And you might find yourself thinking, well, I don't know how to answer that. But what I'm looking for is for you to gradually unpack and start to say, and you'll suddenly find things may come out of the woodwork and you've got some answers, and it's just literally getting you to unpack what's there. So similar to hypnotherapy, where we go in and we look at what the root cause is, transformational coaching, easy for me to say, transformational coaching does it over a series of weeks, and it ultimately gets you to the best version of you. So week after week, we won't be going over what happened the previous week unless there's some significant changes. You might think during the week, actually, oh, this happened, or I suddenly thought this. Because what you tend to find with this type of program is that we could have a session and you might think, oh, I just don't know how to answer that. I don't know. I don't know what's stopping me. I don't know this, that and the other. And that's absolutely normal. That's perfectly fine. And that's how a lot of people take the first couple of sessions, because that's why you're here. If we all knew the answers to those questions straight away, you wouldn't need me, and you'd be flying and you'd be CEO or wherever you want to go. You'll be living your dream. So what tends to happen is we'll have a session, and I say each week we've got a certain amount of questions we'll get through, and each week there's a topic that we will look at. And you might find during the week suddenly something just clicks, and it normally happens like that. Sometimes it happens in the sessions, but more or less it's because your subconscious is thinking about it when you finish the session and you go away and you're doing your daily things, you're working or whatever you're doing, and all of a sudden something may just trigger you to think, oh, right, I know exactly what that is. I know exactly what the issue is there, or I know exactly what the answer to that is. I know why I don't feel good enough to do that job. I know why I'm not going to go for that promotion, because everyone's going to laugh at me and everyone's going to turn around and say, oh no, you're rubbish at this, you shouldn't do that. And this is all the real thoughts that people have. And it may be that actually when someone says to you, why do you think you're not good enough, for instance, you can't answer that. And some people can, some people can't. But it may be because something's happened a couple of years ago or many years ago, but it's buried in your subconscious somewhere. So with transformational coaching, it works on you. We work from the inside out. So this is why it differs to performance coaching. We're here to work with you, and we work with your subconscious mind. So what happens is I facilitate a series of sessions, and we just don't help you to get better at a specific task or, try to get you to do something by a certain date or stuff like that. But we work on helping you to help yourself to have the best day, to make sure that you've got the confidence to do what you want to do. So it's not goal orientated as performance coaching is, and it's probably a little bit gentler and less specific, but it certainly doesn't lose any of its oomph, any of its power, because we're working with you. We're working with your mind, with your conscious, your subconscious. So we're not saying in order to do that, you need to do this by this time and you need to hit this goal, because we need to make sure that you can hit whatever you want to hit. And in order to do that, you need to be right inside. So you need to unpack what's inside you. Another difference to transformational coaching as opposed to performance coaching is I don't need to know anything about your subject of coaching. For instance, if you come to me for performance coaching for, you wanted to play better at football, I'd need to know about football. So with transformational coaching, I'm working with you, I'm working with the person. So this allows me to facilitate and to help you, as I keep saying, to unpack what's inside you. So I don't need to know anything about what you're trying to achieve, because you will find that will happen naturally. I don't need to know about anything what you're trying to change, because the way this program is structured, it allows me almost to do content-free, similar to the content-free hypnotherapy, which I've produced a podcast on earlier. The reason for this is we're making change at the source level, at your level inside you, rather than at incremental action levels. So I'm not going to say, in order for you to go for that job interview, you need to write out a plan by next week and it needs to contain this, this and this, and what are your goals. There's none of that. And then, because you need to get yourself right inside. So I work with the neurological levels pyramid, not to be confused with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So the pyramid, at the very bottom of this pyramid, the weakest point, if you like, is the environment. The next step up from the environment is behaviours. The next step is the skills and capabilities. And the step after that is beliefs and values. And at the very top of the pyramid is identity. So if you can imagine for a couple of minutes I expect you all know people that unfortunately have got divorced or that's always been a stay-at-home mum or dad. What happens when that changes? So what happens when you're someone's wife or husband and you've been known as someone's wife or husband for years, or even it may not be that long, it doesn't matter, but that's your identity. All of a sudden, that's no longer there for whatever reason, and you've got divorced. What then happens to your identity? Because for years, especially people that have been married for a very long time, that's all they've ever really known as someone's wife or someone's husband. All of a sudden now they have to take on a new identity. And that's where people struggle. Because their identity is, well, all I know is I'm someone's wife, or now I'm someone's ex-wife or ex-husband. I don't believe I can do anything else. I don't know what I can do. I've got no belief and trust in myself. I'm not capable of doing anything. I've got no skill set to go out there in the world to offer anything. I don't know how to do anything else. So I just continue to stay at home and just stay in my little convenient space of, going out, visiting friends and things like that. But I don't go any further because all I've known for years is to be someone's partner. And then your environment's completely gone. Your environment's completely changed because the home and everything that you had, the security of the home, or just that stability, if you like, to a certain point, that's all gone. So all of a sudden you've gone from feeling very empowered because you're someone's partner or someone's parent to all of a sudden you've got an empty nest. What do you do? A lot of people suffer with the fact that they don't think they're good enough or they don't think they can do this. So it becomes a little bit of a mud bath, if you like, as to feeling that their identity has now gone and who are they now? And things like divorce, it's a very emotional time, regardless of what the situation is. Even splitting up, you don't need to be married, but even splitting up from someone you've been with for a long time, or maybe not that long, it affects everybody differently. But it is a traumatic time. And not only are you trying to cope with the relationship split, but you're also trying to cope with the fact that you are now on your own. So it's how do you build yourself back up? And that's where transformational coaching comes into its own. Transformational coaching works using 3 principles mainly. And the principles are the principle of the mind, the principle of the consciousness, and the principle of thought. So let's have a quick look at each one of those principles. So the principle of the mind. So where do ideas come from? Just think about that for a moment. Where does the kitchen table come from? Or the flooring you have on the floor? It comes from an idea. But where do those ideas come from? So, long story short, there's a lot more to it than this. It's all about the source and the place which everything comes from is your mind. The next principle is the principle of consciousness. The easiest way to explain this is if you think of the principle of consciousness as a cinema. So you think of the mind as the projector in the cinema, where the white light beams out into an open space, into nothing. Because until you put a screen in front of the projector, you don't know it's there. So the screen is our consciousness, our awareness. So if we don't have a level of consciousness or awareness, the mind can just project whatever it wants. And so if we're not aware of that, then it doesn't exist. The next and third principle is the principle of thought. So if you go back to the cinema, the screen gives us the awareness. The thought is the movie. And it doesn't matter what thoughts are projected. There's no discrimination. It's just thought. So you have these thoughts that are projected onto the screen, which is your conscious. So you've got an interplay between mind, consciousness and thought. So those are the three principles that mainly transformational coaching works on. And one of the things that I facilitate is we all have our own map of the world. We all see things via our map of the world. So just because I see things one way and I act one way doesn't mean to say the person next to me will act the same way because they see things differently. This is because our thoughts are pulling us in different directions. So what you perceive as true, actually, it's not. It's your thoughts. So one of the things that I will work with you is to get you to understand these thoughts. For instance, someone may be scared of spiders and others may not. And the reason that we have a fear of spiders is about our thoughts, how we react about these things. So this is where transformational coaching differs from performance coaching. So my role as a coach is to be completely impartial. I'm just the catalyst for change. I'm not here to give advice, and I'm not here to tell you what to do. I will simply be asking you questions and then leaving the space for you to fill with your answers. So I become an enabler. I just ask the questions, hold space, and you answer. So as I said, we've got about 12 sessions. The first session is normally an introduction, as previously mentioned, and sessions 1 to 10 are all about different subjects. So each session we'll go into a different subject. And again, I will be asking the questions, leaving you the space for you to answer. And that's really important. There's no need to write any notes down, unless you want to. But it really is just about you and I going through each session. No silly questions, no silly answers. There's not a right or wrong way to answer a question. It's all about me enabling you to answer the questions. So just going back to someone who has recently divorced or split up from their partner, or has recently all their children have flown the nest, you can become somebody different. You do have the skill sets inside you to do something different. And you can change your daily routines or where you live or whatever. You've got to believe in yourself, and that's back to identity. So change your identity and everything else will fall into place. Now, I'm not saying it's easy, but over a period of time, it's achievable. So that's what a transformational coaching does. It works on your identity, empowers you to do what you want to do, gives you the beliefs and values in yourself, because we're working inside out. Everything is inside of you. We just unpack it. Thank you for listening to Don't Get Your Feathers in a Twist. Please check out my website, www.7purplefeathers.com. And if you've got any questions, queries or comments, please get in touch.